say, who watches the Watchmen?
Well, we all did.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Popcorn Heroes, and today we are reviewing HBO's Watchmen. I am your host for today, Orlando. Back for the first time, Mike.
Hey.
The bearded dragon, Pedro.
Hey.
All right, guys. So, Pedro, let's go off with the premise.
Okay. All right, so this is a sequel to the Watchmen comic, not the movie. And when you watch the show, you'll realize really quickly there's a lot of shit. You're just like, what the fuck? So please try to read the comic before you watch this. It'll just make a hell of a lot more sense. Not 100% needed, but it's kind of needed.
It helps a lot.
It helps a lot. So this takes place in 2019, like now, but in that timeline. So a lot of shit is completely different, and you'll find out too. But it pretty much, I don't want to get into like the spoilers of it.
No,
right off the bat. So I'm just gonna say that it pretty much. So the Watchmen comic dove into the Cold War because the comic came out in the 80s, and that's the time that's what was happening. Now there's a lot of race like issues happening right now. So this show decided to make that its like battlefield. So. And I think it did a great job. So pretty much, it's the sequel. It follows.
There's a lot of backstory to the show. Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's it. The sequel to the comic.
Yeah, I don't want to get into details because it kind of like.
It's about superheroes.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, I kind of get to it. I guess there's a white supremacist group that starts wearing Rorschach's mask. Kind of like.
You get spoiler territory.
I guess.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's pretty much it. It's the sequel to the Watchmen comic book. It contains some of the characters from the Watchmen comic book, and the driving point of the show has racism in the background.
I wouldn't even say the background. It's pretty forefront.
It's pretty forefront, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go into our rating. Mike, let's take it off for you. What did you think? 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5, probably a 4.5. It was a really, really, really good show. I loved Regina King in it. She was amazing.
Phenomenal.
Her in her raspy ass voice. You know what? I couldn't unhear Huey and Riley in her voice, but
you know what? I didn't hear it at all. The guy, her husband, they're married.
Yeah,
is that the guy from?
Yes,
the
it is.
Fucking
that's Black Manta.
Shit?
That's Black Manta. And Striking Vipers.
I'm like, fuck this guy. When I first saw it, oh man, I'm gonna hate this. But he's really good in it.
He did good, man. Really
I
good.
love what's the other guy? The guy with the reflective mask.
Yeah.
I love him for the most part.
Looking Glass.
Looking Glass was great. Actually, I think the characters overall are pretty good.
I can't think of any bad characters, really.
I can't think of any. The way they wove in like the Watchmen comics into the show, it felt like I honestly want to know how it is for someone who's never read the comic to watch the. Well, you're right.
Ding ding ding. Well, so when
let me finish my review, nigga. Shit.
Yeah.
Fast forward. Great show. Everybody should watch it. Not because I want to hear your opinion, though.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.5 as well. I was leaning towards a 4, but honestly, the show does a good job of talking about a certain issue, racism, in a way that doesn't feel hand-fisted, forced. It's organic, especially the history of the town that they live in. So it's essential to that town. It's not like a town that it has not seen racism. So it's very prominent that they speak about it within that time. So it doesn't feel like many shows like for example, this Grownish is a current show, or Blackish. Those two shows deal with racism in many ways, but those two shows also deal with it in a way that might feel like a PSA announcement, like, hey, we're black, we're just like you, kind of thing. So this show kind of deals with the atrocities that black people have suffered, and how racism still is prolific in modern times, and basically how these characters in the show deal with that. And yeah, I find that really compelling. Like, I've never seen a show tackle such a subject in a way that I felt was so
Natural.
Yeah, like I could see some people getting upset about it, really, but it's so woven into the history of the show, the town, the comic, that like it doesn't. I can't find a way that you feel like it's forced. You know, I can't. If someone told me that, like, oh, here we go again, some Justice Warrior show, and granted, I haven't heard that. Everyone I talk to of any ethnicity has commended the show for bringing that subject up. And yeah, man, Regina King killed it as well. Like, such a powerful, like, she is the star of the show, and she runs the whole thing. Like, I cannot see it not winning an Emmy for this show.
I would hope so.
And this guy who made his right up there for he made Leftovers and Lost. I don't think he's ever made a bad show.
Lost.
No, in my opinion, Lost is a great show, and I love the ending. I don't think he made a bad show. And yeah,
This is his best show ever, though.
Mike, he worked on Leftovers. You should watch that next.
Yeah,
this is his best show. I haven't even watched Leftovers. This is his best show.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, just a phenomenal show. Amazing. Pedro.
I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really freaking good. I love that it didn't, like you guys were saying, it didn't really pull its punches. You know, like talking about race issues, especially in less like movies, shows, or any of that type of media, people really like, they don't want to dive into it because you're scared about like the fallout or whatever. This one went right into it from the very beginning. From the beginning, it was brutal because I didn't know about that event. So there was a lot of stuff happening where I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that happened. There's another thing I'll get into it when we get into the spoilers, where I'm just like, that didn't happen. And I looked it up, I'm like, holy shit, that fucking happened. So starting it off with that, you kind of just thought, oh shit, this is some crazy alternate universe shit. And then the way they build off of that tragedy, and then just to keep the tensions going and everything, I don't know, it's just, it brought up a lot of good things, and it was a nice mirror, or a bad mirror, I suppose, because it's not a good thing to look at, but it is a mirror of ourselves as society, especially right now with the way, you know, tensions are. So it was great. It was I wouldn't even say it's a satire. It's just like a metaphor. It's just everything. It is what it is now, and it did a great job of doing it. And like you guys said, it wove it in with the characters from the Watchmen comic, which is like
perfectly
held, like beloved as the gold standard. So to that's also risky to actually fuck with certain characters and put them in here, and kind of like,
it's like a lot of moving parts in the show.
Yeah. So there was a lot. It was a crazy juggling act, and I thought they did fantastic. I would say maybe the ending was slightly rushed, but I mean, now that I think about it, the comic ending was rushed as fuck too. So it's just kind of like just the theme of the way it is. So, and it had a lot of good parallels to the comic. I just thought it was great. The pacing was perfect. All the characters were awesome. There was, I can't even think of a bad character in there right now. All of them were great. And yeah, that's about it. The special effects are fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
About wraps it up.
All right, so let's jump into
You can jump into spoilers.
The spoilers, yeah. So, guys, if you guys haven't watched it yet, please, I urge you. I did not read the comic. Well, so I saw like the comic back then had like a moving picture.
The motion comic.
The motion comic. I remember I watched it.
Oh, you did watch that?
Yeah, but like I don't remember it really. Like I remember watching it like all the way to watch the movie when it came out. But it's like fuzzy for me. So obviously you guys can help me out with that.
Okay.
But
at least you got the idea.
Yeah, I got the idea of it.
That's fine.
But as someone who is not quite familiar with the comic, I still think this show is almost essential to watch currently. Like, it's one of the best shows out there, regardless of the subject matter. And I feel like even if you're not into that kind of subject, I just feel like in general the writing is so good that you can't pass it up. So please watch it. If you have watched it, welcome to the spoilers. Let's dive in. So clearly at the end,
There we go, straight to the end.
You going right to the end?
No,
yeah.
Oh my god.
Nah, fine. So Tulsa.
The way they started with the Tulsa, I was watching that and I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like shit, this is crazy. Well, what the fuck happened in the Watchmen universe that made them like
do all this shit? This can't happen in real life.
Kill
That's
the
crazy.
shit. And
all these people.
As soon as the episode was over, I looked up Tulsa, and then bam, because I guess everyone was Googling it too. Tulsa riot, whatever year it was, and I'm just like, holy shit.
You know what? I had heard
and I read about it. I read it. It was a 3-day thing. It was insane.
I had heard of the event, but I didn't know too. I had heard of like the Black Wall Street massacre.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I didn't know too much about it, so I didn't think it was something on this scale. I thought it was like maybe a couple blocks, some people got killed, and that was it. But
Right.
like to decimate a neighborhood on that level,
it was
and
a
it just to
full-blown-
be pretty much just swept under the rug in
yeah.
history.
Yeah, it was like 3 days, a whole like thing going on, and then on the third day is when they brought that plane, and that's the plane that we see.
Had a plane bomb. That's just
Yeah, they had a plane, shooting the shit out of everyone.
I had no idea.
So the other thing that I didn't know about was Bass Reeves, the sheriff, the black sheriff that he's watching.
I didn't know about it at all.
I'm like, oh, look, they got like their own version of Zorro. And I'm like, oh, they made it a black Zorro. Okay, cool. And I looked up Bass Reeves, and I'm like, that was a real sheriff. Like, it says here he shot and killed 14 people, self-defense. He arrested more than 3,000 felons. Like, the guy was freaking crazy. Started as a slave, and then, what the fuck am I thinking of? Emancipated during that time, and then bam, there he goes. I was about to say
Yeah, him I didn't
exonerated.
know about either.
Yeah, he looked it's the same with that big fucking mustache. There's a picture of him right there. I was like,
I
all
didn't see
right.
a picture.
Apparently, Lone Ranger's based off of him, and they made Lone Ranger white
Of course.
Damn.
with the white mask.
They whitewashed them.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Well, I guess that's further down the line.
I mean, at this point, we can jump around wherever. I just didn't want to jump all the way to the end already.
My bad.
But we could jump around. Like, how'd you feel about the certain retcons?
I mean,
Like the biggest one is the guy from the Minutemen,
yeah.
Hooded Justice.
Hooded Justice.
Right.
Huge retcon, and I fucking
Is
loved
that
it.
a retcon though?
It totally is, because in the comic he's clearly a white dude, but obviously they
Not
explained
clearly
it.
a white dude.
They never show his face, do they?
No,
show his
but they
face.
show his eye holes, which he already explained it here. But it is a retcon. Alan Moore did not say this is a black dude. That's what I'm trying to say by a retcon. Clearly, the original writer didn't think about this.
No,
But-
not at
But
all.
he was a hero that was the first one, inspired everybody. You could tell from his holes in the eyes that he's white, and then he just disappears, and no one knows what happened to him, and that's the end of it.
Right.
So this show decided to make him a meaningful character,
So-
very symbolic.
But the thing is that even so, like once again, like the show does such a good job of having it being so organic. Because as someone who knew about him through the comic, but not fully, I was like, it's perfect because even his costume, it's a hood, it's the
Perfect.
robe.
Symbolic, completely.
It's just like, well, and it's someone who more than ever is going to wear a hood to fight crime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do
It
you?
was almost like a Batman mentality. He wears the bat because he's scared as shit of the bat.
Right,
And then
yeah.
Hooded Justice wears that because that's clearly what terrified him, and he uses it against them. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the weapon? No, fuck that. I'm
Yeah.
going to wear your weapon because it's nothing to me. I'm immune to it. So
Exactly.
it's just perfect.
It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes so much sense as a first vigilante, because at that time white men had all the powers, so white men did not have to be in the shadows. So why would they wear a mask?
Why would someone wear a mask? Yeah.
And so it made perfect sense for a black man to say, no, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to, I need to, as a cop, I'm not getting the respect I deserve. This is the only way to get it.
Yeah, genius, man.
It's phenomenal. Like
just the whole way that unfolded, that you find out that he was the first hero. Just even like when he first meets Regina, or whatever, and she says, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I killed this guy." And you're like,
I
"No,
killed your
you're in a
chief of
fucking
police."
wheelchair."
Yeah.
I'm Dr.
Like-
Manhattan. He could be anyone.
They, like, lay out
Foreshadowing.
so many fucking
Yeah.
breadcrumbs for you that
Yeah.
he just does a really good job with this show.
I'm surprised he was still alive. Louis Gossett Jr., I thought he was dead. I was like, oh my God, dude, I haven't seen you in fucking a million years.
Who the hell is he?
He's a actor from the 80s and
I don't know
90s.
this nigga.
Really?
I don't know who he is either.
What?
This is first.
You guys kidding me? He was famous.
He looks like a cop, the cop that would tell you like, "Damn it, you're going too far." Like that's the kind of vibe I got.
I can see that.
Damn it! Give me your gun and badge.
Yeah.
You're done. You're done.
But yeah, I just thought honestly, like when she takes the nostalgia, I was like, oh shit. Like,
That was one of my favorite. That was my favorite episode.
yeah.
Nah, my favorite episode is the fucking relationship episode. That shit was amazing.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. The Looking Glass one was really good too. So
Looking Glass one was damn. Just seeing
the
what he
Spectre,
went through.
the Silk Spectre one, I kind of like too. Damn, there's a lot of good ones.
Let's pick.
It was almost like the ones that focused on a particular character.
Yeah,
Were the best.
Were the best instead of the ensemble ones. Like even the one about the whole story of the Asian lady. I really liked hers too.
I liked hers.
True.
I like the one that went
Lady
into
True.
Angela's backstory.
Lady True. Yeah, pretty much whatever focused on one character for the whole hour were the best episodes.
Of course,
by
yes.
far.
I don't know. There's a lot of mind fucking in this show when they delve into like the characters' backstories.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Ozymandias basically being like at first? Were you guys confused? Like we trying to figure out where he was at.
Right. I mean, at first I had a bunch of theories. I thought Lady True was like had him held hostage somewhere so that she could take. Remember, she took his company. So I'm like, oh, she wanted to declare him dead, so she hid him somewhere and made clones. Because I thought the daughter was a clone of her, so my brain was all over. My brain was all over that, and she kept imagining like, oh, the bad dreams, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably her memory she's putting in there, whatever. Close, but no cigar. No cigar.
She's crazier than that.
Yeah, exactly. She's fucking nuts. But I love this guy playing as Ozymandias. I thought he did it on point. He just put in like just the ego and the douchiness.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite scenes was like, oh, I wanted you to be a worthy adversary. And he's like, Master, was I a worthy adversary? No. Damn, straight up, dude. I was like
wait, what?
And it's so crazy that like even that guy, the guy who has to play the villain, like he was given that role by him, and he's so pissed, but like he goes along with it. Like I wonder if there was like a safe word that they had, like yo, potatoes, and like, oh shit, my bad, like I'll let you go. Like
I don't think he would have did that.
Dude, Ozzy can catch a bullet with his bare hands, which I love that they brought that back.
Callback, yeah.
As soon as they shot him, I was watching with my mom. As soon as he shot him, I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, you remember the movie at least, right? You know he can catch bullets.
He did that in the movie too?
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, because the movie was like an almost beat for beat of the comic. The only difference was there was no squid.
Yeah.
It was just Manhattan that blew it up.
I just remember that callback to the comic. I was like, of course, if you read it, yeah.
If you read, yeah. You saw him go, oh, I'm like, there he goes. With a little bit of blood on the hand, he's fine.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. I thought he did really well. It's so crazy that in the beginning you're not sure like where he's at and how he got there, and then you see that like.
Did you guys know he was Ozzy from the beginning, or did you kind of? It was obvious, right?
Yeah.
Way obvious.
Okay, just making sure because they didn't reveal it till like the third episode, and it's like.
But by then you like, there's no doubt in your mind at all.
Okay, yeah.
At first you're like, is he? He's got to be. But yeah, by that episode you already know.
Yeah, definitely. I love the statue thing.
Damn, that shit was crazy.
They pulled Westworld in a way where like timelines and shit, and you're just like, not everything was happening parallel, which is fucking fantastic. Which I kind of started thinking that when they said, "Oh, you've been on trial for a year," and I'm like, "Oh, a whole year," and I'm like, "But a day passed here," and I'm like, so it's clearly something's off.
That's when you realize, like, especially his timeline doesn't really match up with everything.
Yeah, you're like, something's really off here, but I had no idea it would get to that level.
That statue for like the second episode. So was this fucking nigga in the statue the whole time?
So the scene when she buys the house. Remember, she's like, "Oh, something. My satellite's gonna land. You know, whatever."
That
was the satellite landing where she grabbed the statue.
See that I didn't know. I'm like, I was waiting for. I'm like, where is this part coming in that she has to?
That's what it was. It was.
At first, I thought it was Manhattan or something, but after seeing that episode, I'm like, oh, she got her fucking statue.
I gotta say,
and that's crazy that she bought a whole house,
a whole acres.
Her dad.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
She really wanted to prove him.
Yeah,
they were both the fucking same. They're the same person. She was just like, "Fuck you, Dad. I'm better than you.
Yeah,
and you're gonna like it. I want you to see me be better than you." And he's just like, "Fuck you, bitch. I'm the best." Like they were both like at each other. He only even said daughter just to get rescued, but he didn't give a shit about her.
Not at all. You could tell.
That's why even at the end, he's just like a worthy adversary. That's all he saw her as. It's like a chess game.
Yeah, but I thought more of the world would know that he had engineered the squid, though.
Yeah, it's weird. So the comic ends with Rorschach's journal going out, and pretty much what the show kind of implies is that a very right-wing newspaper was the one that published it, which is also the same ones that do like the Weekly World News where like Bat Boy gets born, you know, like all that shit. So pretty much people immediately were like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like right from the get-go. And the only ones that stayed with it were, I guess...
The racists?
The racist crazies. So, and they saw that journal, and I guess they read about him talking about the filth, and they took that as their own propaganda. But the writer did confirm that Rorschach wasn't racist. They just took that philosophy and made it into their agenda.
That's what I was wondering because
they're like,
Rorschach wasn't a racist. Doesn't seem like he came off a racist.
No, but he always talked about the scum, which was all the criminals.
Like
because he was born in like a fucking whorehouse.
What, homophobic though, right?
I think he was homophobic. Yeah. Maybe that.
Yeah, but
nothing else. It was just.
I don't think it was racist.
It's so crazy that they because I felt like a lot of it was I had that.
I feel like it was a big parallel to Anonymous with the Guy Fawkes mask and them using it as an alt-right. That's clearly what it was. A jab at.
I totally took it as like when I was first watching him, like, well, he was. I remember the movie and I remember a little bit of the comment that he wasn't racist, but I feel like the way he is with like the way he speaks, we speak in like a straight line that you can take his work and then misinterpret it
for anything.
That's true.
So I felt like that's what they did. The Seven Kyrie just misinterpreted it, like his writing. It was just like
Cyclops. If you want to go back far enough.
Cyclops took that and like, okay, this is our mantra. This is what we're gonna go by, and this is how we protect ourselves. And I just thought that like, I found that fascinating how like, just the theme of like misconstrued messaging, like even now with like fake news, and how like you take something and you're like, no, let me twist it to fit my agenda. I thought that was very
it's been happening since forever, but it still feels what's the word? It still feels like relevant because everything that we're witnessing now. So I thought that was awesome. I loved who they cast as Silk Spectre, the old Silk Spectre.
I swore that was her from the movie. I can't really remember. Oh, like, damn, that's the same girl from the movie. I can't remember what she looked like in the movie.
You haven't seen Fargo? Oh, she's from Legion. You probably know.
She
her
is
from
Legion.
Yeah,
but yeah, she
was on fucking
once
point.
I saw her, I automatically knew who it was. That's how good of a job they did with casting her as Silk Spectre.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I knew that because the girl from Legion and the girl from the movie isn't that old, so I knew that like that wasn't her.
I loved the detail that she took comedian's last name. She took her name,
Blake.
Detective Blake.
Yeah.
So she pretty much said, fuck it, yeah, my dad's a piece of shit prick, but hey,
he's my
dad.
I thought
at
they would
the
show
end.
him in this. I thought they would show him more or something.
They only showed him in that documentary.
Yeah.
That fake, exaggerated documentary of like, I guess all the rumors.
The, what's that shit called? American something.
Yeah.
Hero Story, some shit like that.
Yeah. So I love that it's like, oh, let's see your face. And they show it's just like the perfect cookie cutter, like white dude. And in that same episode, you're just like, yeah, nah.
It's not him.
The only thing they got right was that he was gay and he was banging this dude. That's about it.
Did they have that in the comic? Because I don't remember him being gay in the comic.
No. But in the comic, they knew that he was a rich like pansy. Like they made him very like a softie. Was how they portrayed him. Where he's like, oh guys, please stop arguing. We need to get back to the meeting.
But
like
that's
in the comic.
But that's about you're talking about right now. What hero are you talking about?
Metropolis.
Oh yeah, I was talking about a
Metropolis.
comedian. Yeah,
The Captain Metropolis.
No,
Yeah.
not comedian.
Because I remember in one of their first meetings or whatever, the comedian just like fucking lights up the map, and he's like, "No, it took me forever to make that map." So they showed that Metropolis was just a rich like
Yeah.
Like-
like he didn't care, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that, not that theme, but that messaging of like in the beginning where he calls just calls the Metropolis is like, hey, you need to come and help me. Like I found I found what they're doing. I found Cyclops, and I found like that they're hypnotizing
black people, right?
Yeah, to like turn against each other. And he's like, nah, hey, we're not gonna do that right now.
Yeah, he's pretty much saying like it's not
That's
on
beneath
brand
us.
for us. It doesn't really, the narrative doesn't really fit.
Yeah, it's not good marketing for us, basically.
Which is interesting because that's when he comes up with Moloch. It's like, oh yeah, Moloch is the one hypnotizing people.
Yeah.
And he's the villain that comes out in the comic.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, was he part of Cyclops?
So that were there actual villains, or is he just lying about everything? Because that's what that made me wonder.
Yeah, it's
Because
interesting.
they like stopped an actual crime, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that was Moloch that did all that shit."
Yeah,
I'm like, wait,
that's the only thing that got me really confused because I'm like, wait, Moloch is in the comic and in the movie as well. He's the one that pretty much they interrogate about Ozymandias, and then he gets killed.
Right. Yeah,
like Ozzy kills him. So I'm just like, wait, that confused the shit out of me. So unless it's a villain that popped up later on because of that and took the name from
so just also blaming that villain for these things. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
But I mean, clearly Cyclops was like Illuminati, their version of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
with the whole brotherhood of everyone, like
the higher ups,
the background. They'll become president and so on. Get them in, obviously.
But I thought it was very I thought the fact that okay, hey, no one's going to protect the black people, basically. So you got to do it. And I felt like that message extended to the end. We don't have to talk about the ending right now, but just the fact that at the end where his dad, the grandfather is just who is Hooded Justice was kind of oh, I'm so sorry, your husband died. But he could have done more. And he just walks away fuck, dude.
He could have done more.
What a tough message to say during that time to her.
Yeah.
But then it correlates to the ending when she you assume that she is a god.
Right. I mean, we can get right into it. We wouldn't have to dance around it.
Yeah.
Now.
Wait. Before we get there, were you guys surprised that he was Manhattan?
Yes.
That shit came out of nowhere.
In that episode, I was kind of getting weird hints. I forgot what part where I'm wait. Because from the get-go, when the grandpa said he could look like anyone, I'm shit. Someone.
I didn't think anything of it.
I was someone's going to be Manhattan. I didn't know who.
Because I swore there was a part
someone was going to be Manhattan.
In the comic, though, where he says he can't just transform into a human. I might be wrong. So I didn't think anything of it.
I don't remember that.
I just ignored that fact.
Yeah, but maybe in the comic he does say that, but it's he can't do it, but Ozzy found a way for him to do it.
Sure.
That's why.
Sure. But it's when Lady True is saying you did all this shit and you I just told you he's hiding among us. You're not gonna ask who he is, and she just walks out oh shit.
Yeah.
No, it's him.
Well,
who else could it be?
I always looked at John and I'm just or is it John or Cal? I don't know, it's Cal.
Cal. John is Manhattan's name.
I always looked at Cal and I'm
he's the damsel in distress.
He's so he's buff. Yeah, he's buff,
a perfect husband.
And he's so nice and she's a badass. I'm I would assume he has some badass shit in him. I would assume that he is also, because the thing is, it looks like when shit goes down, she protects him. So I'm just man, that's such a. Not that I'm looking for a weird power dynamic. I just thought that
yeah, for the show to balance them out.
Yeah, something to balance them out.
Yeah,
he never came to her rescue, and it's one of those things. Maybe in the theme of the show, she's a strong black woman, and maybe they're trying to push that theme forward, and that's fine. I just felt that's so weird that he's taking a back seat to her. You know?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm they really just casted him just to be the good husband.
Yeah, and
I'm that's it.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but there was something.
He was a striking vibe.
To me, there's something more to him that they're not explaining.
Yeah,
I never thought that.
He's getting so much work now, by the way. I was looking at his shit. Everyone's scooping him up now. I'm good for him.
Yeah, because
Black Manta, come on. That was a shitty part.
If he left it at Aquaman and then another terrible role.
That's true.
Then fuck, dude. But after doing this, man, dude, he said so well.
And as
both.
As he was a really good fucking Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's just the way he interacts with the world is so. He does seem like he's a part. He's not of the world.
Yeah.
Did you guys think it was weird that he still kept Cal's face even though he's in Manhattan mode?
I think he kept it because it was just
I thought it was an unconscious thing.
I think
that's what I took it as too. He's still connected to her.
Years, yeah,
he's still connected to her, so you didn't want to fully change. That's what I took it as.
I think it's that. I think it's I think
because clearly he had a different face when he was wearing the mask. That's why they never show it.
Right.
They probably didn't even want to give a shit. Well, they don't care about the movie, but I was gonna say they're not gonna make it look like the other guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the reason why one of the things that this movie the show does so well is giving you 30 years of character development that we didn't see for Dr. Manhattan. The fact that he left Earth to make life and then realized, wow, I made the perfect life and this isn't perfect because they worship me like a god and it's annoying, it's boring.
Yeah.
So this is not what I wanted. He goes back to Earth, just pretty much lollygagging and just walking around.
They always hinted that he was horny as fuck, even in the comics. It's he got with Spectre's mom, and then got with the daughter.
Yeah.
So it's just You creepy old man, you horny motherfucker.
Yeah.
So him getting with this chick, I'm just like, he just continued his horniness, bro. He just wanted some chocolate this time. That's all.
That I can see, but also like just the fact that like there was always a disconnect between like his ability to be everywhere at once and also to be present.
Right. Yeah, because he was everywhere.
He was everywhere.
So while he was banging Angela, he was still banging both Silk Spectres in the other time.
Right.
He was everywhere.
Damn, he's doing it all at the same time.
He was doing it all at the same time.
And I remember it's like a callback to the movie, at least, you know. I know that's not, I know it's not this. I know it probably references in the comic where he's banging Silk Spectre and she's like, "Oh, where are you?" And he's like, "Oh, right now I'm like over here."
Yeah, I'm over here, and over here, right?
And then
they all combine and they start touching her and she like freaks out.
Yeah. Which is a good scene. But then it happens again with Angela where she's just like, "Oh, where are you?" And he's also telling her like, "I'm this here." And she's like, "Come on, can you fucking be present?" And it's such a huge moment for him to be like, "Okay, like I've done all of this and none of it has led me to happiness. I'm going to make the ultimate sacrifice and become human again for her." And that's a big leap. Like, so that's not something that happens overnight, and it's something that you have to take into account the fact that like it has happened because he's lived 30 years or 30 years or more with these powers, and it has affected him greatly, so much that like he's willing to go back to being human.
But also, I mean, of course he did it because he wants to feel that, but a part of him also did it because that's what's meant to happen. Because if it weren't for that, all of Cyclops wouldn't have got together and they all wouldn't have died. So it's all like everything happens for a reason type thing.
Right, but the fact...
Where he's like, yeah, I am supposed to be with you, not just because I love you, but because I'm supposed to be with you because this is how it's going to end.
The chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so good.
So good.
That was awesome. They had that shit dancing around for the show.
They always have these fucking like little hints of like foreshadowing
it's just
what's
these
to come.
symbols that just
Like
throughout
even
the whole
when
thing.
they first show the first time they get attacked, I guess on the White Knight or whatever.
Yeah.
And they show it to you like in the early episodes, and the guy with the shotgun standing over her disappears. And I never questioned that.
Well, they didn't show her him disappear. She closed her eyes and then that's it. And then she wakes up in the hospital.
No, I think she opens her eyes and he's gone.
Yeah. See, the whole time I'm thinking that, I'm like, someone came and saved her and doesn't want them to know they saved her. And that's what made me think that it was him and he's in on it. So I knew he was KKK before, like, that.
Who, the guy?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, he came in, saved her, and he probably just shot his arm to make it look like he got attacked on that night. Like he probably thought, wait, we need her.
I don't think he was KKK.
That's where my mind went, but no, it was just John fucking teleported him to somewhere else.
That was so good.
Yeah, but I didn't see him. I mean, I guess I could watch the scene again, but I don't remember him actually disappearing. I just remember her eyes closing.
I remember, her eyes closed,
and then she wakes up in the hospital. That's
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. Maybe it goes in my head.
because the whole time I'm thinking, who the fuck saved her? And in the last episode they mentioned it, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it was so perfect.
that was good, man.
So good.
Reoccurring symbols. The way she spray painted her face
Just like
was
her dad.
was
Oh, her
a parallel
grandfather.
of the grandfather. Just the
Yeah.
opposite. I was like, dude, this is fucking perfect. Like, just made for it.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? I gotta look up if Sister Night is a real thing or not. But
I wanted to look that up too, because if that's a real thing, there's just so much intricate shit in the show.
I don't think that's real. I think that was for it.
Okay.
That would have been way too crazy.
Yeah.
But still, it's still fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because that's probably a character that was based off the Minutemen and so on. So it still works in the universe, of course. And it's just the blaxploitation version of like the Minutemen of that.
True.
Because it almost looked like if they made that into a movie, it would have been Pam Grier.
Yes.
Like in that time.
That would have definitely been
Yeah.
Pam
That'd be
Grier.
the perfect casting.
Like in that world, Pam Grier played as that character for sure. I was a little disappointed they didn't have Redford come out for real.
I never thought they were gonna.
Because I'm like, if he comes out, it's 2019. He'll still look like how he looks now, so he could
Yeah.
just come out. But I'm like, he's probably not going to because he retired, and he's not going to come back for a fucking
Yeah, I
show
think so.
portraying him as
pretty much.
like I don't even know how he was portrayed. Just a fucking regular president that's
Yeah, he
that's
wasn't
shady like all other presidents.
Yeah, he wasn't like he wasn't part of the cavalry, but he also
It wasn't like this amazing.
No, but I mean, he did do the Redfordations, which I thought was a brilliant name.
yeah.
Oh my god, that was like
Redfordations.
I like how
As soon as I saw that, I went, "Oh my god, that's so cool."
I like how reparations is a subject that has been brought up, especially in this.
And they did do reparations for the Tulsa massacre.
Yeah,
that happened.
So I mean, it seemed like it was reparations just for that massacre. I'm not sure was it worldwide.
It was just for that massacre,
right?
But they kept saying that because that's the area they're in. So pretty much anyone,
right,
you would assume that's in that area is an ancestor of that.
And I did like that
she was
because
getting shit.
That is a current subject that has been brought up in many democratic debates.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that is like, you're Haitian, I'm Cuban, this time we're both black. Clearly, if reparations ever happens, we ain't getting shit. So I did like the fact that they kind of show that, okay, no, this has to be tied to your DNA. This has to be tied to like, are you linked and have you been affected by slavery?
Right, it's
American slavery.
It's not just I'm black. Okay, here you go. No, it's like, wait a minute, are you part of that line?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So I felt like they did a good job displaying that, like how that system might work, and I enjoyed that as someone who's like, wow, like as a current talking point of like, how can we handle that as society?
How can we handle it? Yeah,
I think that was actually pretty good in terms of like, hey, this is your history. Here's a big sorry. Here's some money.
So here's something that I read today. Actually, remember Lube Man?
Yes.
I wonder what happened to that guy. He just
what happened to him, right?
And never came back.
So HBO has this thing called PDpedia, which is the young kid that was obsessed with the FBI kid. That was that slept with this chick, and it was like.
Did they show him again?
No, but it was essentially him. Like Lube Man was.
Wait,
him.
he was Lube Man?
He was Lube Man. So at the end of every episode, he would post something on his PDpedia, because that was his name, Detective PD.
It's like what do you call that shit?
It was like the articles in between the chapters of the comic. So this was their version of it. So that pretty much what we should have done, and I didn't do until like today, is at the end of every episode, go online and read what he put before the next episode, and he'll always do little hints. And pretty much the very last episode, if you go on, it's a letter that he got fired, and then they found like a gallon of canola oil in his desk, and they said that he was doing like a lot of vigilante investigations or whatever. So it's like
sliding in sewer drains.
He was so obsessed that he created his own weird fucking character so that he can investigate his own shit.
That makes sense though.
Yeah.
He was so.
He's so into it. He even brought the mask so he could fuck her. It was just like, come on, dude, you're like really into that. So that was one of those things that I'm just like, whatever happened to that? And then you're like, oh.
Right? I don't know. I thought he was gonna pop up again at least.
Yeah, there was quite a few things where I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Good shit.
What do you just think about like Looking Glass? Like, cause he was
the Rorschach archetype.
Yeah,
definitely
kind of
Rorschach.
And
because of the paranoia,
the
conspiracy theories, the fact that he doesn't like talking with people, he doesn't like to socialize really. So it just all added to that type. He was clearly different because he's the exact opposite of Rorschach.
Yeah.
Rorschach was like fuck order, and he was like no,
we need order.
We need order.
Yeah, so I was like, he's kind of like the Rorschach archetype.
They're parallels, but they're still like. Opposites of each other.
I mean, even his
he's like the shadow. They're like shadows of each other too.
Even the fact that like he could detect people's lying.
Oh, I love that, dude.
It's also kind of like how the idea of Rorschach is just like the Rorschach exam kind of gives you a glimpse into someone's personal thoughts.
That was so good. The way that you see the images blending into it, and it looks like a Rorschach, and it was used. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
So one of the things is like. I had a friend saying that like they felt like they loved the show so much, but they felt like it needed more episodes, especially maybe for him, because you do see that he's affected so much by the squid attack because he lived in he was in Jersey when it happened.
He was right there. He was one of the only survivors that close.
Naked.
Yeah, butt ass naked. Yeah.
How did you not see that coming? Come on, guy.
And his whole
he's sheltered.
Yeah, sheltered.
It did make sense.
A pretty girl.
It made sense when you saw how they were. Oh, the sins, whatever. And he's just like, oh, okay, man. And then she's just like, hey, man, I'll suck your dick. And he's just like,
let's do it.
Yeah. So he's greatly affected by that. Like he wears the mask to protect himself from like.
Yeah. It's crazy because that is like what people make fun of. Oh, you wear the tinfoil on your head, for the aliens and all that shit. They make fun of like in signs and all that stuff.
Does
like
all the fucking drills. He fucking blew out his machine doing drills.
Yeah.
Oh, you're supposed to only do one a month. What? I do like 3 a week or some shit.
He was like 500 or something.
He was such a great character because all the characters, they're all awesome and they're all so completely flawed too. So it was just nice seeing like everyone's a fuck up in their own way.
I did like how basically,
except for Cal. Cal was perfect.
I did like how they wrapped up his storyline in a way, because at the end of the day, like, he realizes that his whole existence is basically like someone's plot device to make the world at peace, but it fucked him up so much that like
he was a puppet.
He still has to go along with it.
Yeah, he had to go along with it, and so that at the end he gets to arrest the man who like fucking caused them all this drama. So I did like that how it was wrapped up. I just felt like at the end he kind of took a back seat. And granted, it makes sense.
A lot of people took a back seat.
It makes sense that you take a back seat when
to the plot
to a god.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because again, it's parallel to the comic. Remember in the comic, they got Night Owl, Silk Spectre, and Rorschach all at the end, and they all took a back seat to just Ozzy in Manhattan.
Yeah, sure.
So it was the same thing. They took a back seat to Ozzy and Manhattan again. It was the same shit.
The two Aussies.
The two Aussies. They were both equally as fucking psycho. It's just she was more psycho, like I want to be a god, and he was just like, nah, I'm good enough.
Yeah. I liked how when he was like, oh, I'm not going to jail. He's like, no, you literally killed like 3 million people. You confessed. Yeah, you gotta go to jail.
My only complaint would be that when he got snuck up on by Looking Glass, I'm like, man, you whooped the shit out of comedian and all this stuff. How do you not see that coming? That's the only thing where I'm like
that happened in the comic. Rorschach tried to do that to him, and he fucked Rorschach up.
He fucked him up, right? Exactly. So it's like people's try to sneak up.
It was with the wrench too. The exact same thing.
Yeah, and it was at the last part. Yeah, so it's just kind of like when I saw him get hit, I'm like,
I don't buy it.
You should have dodged that. Yeah. And then maybe everyone gangs up on him, or I don't know.
If you can still catch bullets, you could definitely see that coming.
Yeah, you can dodge. What's it? You can dodge
a ball. Dodge a wrench.
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
That's the only part that made me go like, that was a little too on the nose. I mean, like that was like, oh, I would have got away with you too if you weren't for these measly kids. Like I'm like,
that's a little bit of that's a minor nitpick, I guess.
It is a minor nitpick, but it's
such a good show.
Mm-hmm. I loved how the squids came into play.
Yes.
Like they just turned them into giant rocks of hail and just fucked everything up.
The way he made it seem is like they're gonna fuck shit up entirely.
I thought more people should have died.
Yeah, I thought like, this is
like people were hiding in their police cars. I'm like, those should have went through the cars and fucking killed the Red Scare. Is that what his name was?
More people should have definitely died. Yeah.
The Pirate Jenny and the other guy, they should have been fucking dead.
Yeah.
The little girl would have survived because she's in the booth, and then Abar because of course she had the fucking the hard metal as well.
I did kind of like the symbolism because Lady True was trying to be Jesus, and then it like went straight through her hand.
Ooh, I didn't catch that.
Nice.
That's
look at you catching more symbolism.
Damn.
This shit is just littered with symbolism.
It was though.
She's like, I'm gonna be a god.
Here you go.
Shit, time to get crucified.
You think she'll be back in 3 days then?
Nah, she's dead as fuck.
She's dead as fuck.
She's super fucking dead. Oh shit. I love her introduction. It just showed how fucking intimidating.
I love her character. I like her more than Vite.
I could agree with that because Vite, he just got old quick because it's just kind of like you're just so cocky and douchey that it's like I've seen that before. But her, like I don't know, just she was more calm and quiet about it, while Vite was more loud about it, and it's just like that gets annoying.
Yeah,
the fact that she's like, I know I'm smarter than you, and that's okay. Like.
She was perfect. She was perfect.
The thing is that
I'm kind of sad she died.
Like as she's talking, I was getting intimidated. Like, oh shit, dude.
That's the thing.
Don't fuck with her.
Don't fuck with her.
The thing is that her mastermind, her plans were so like hidden underneath all of it that it didn't come into fruition until the end. And then Vite was so arrogant that like he'd tell you his plan, even if like you weren't, even if you didn't care. You're like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. You know? And so like I did like that.
That she didn't do that.
Yeah, she was just very like,
tell me what you're doing. No.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
And
it's true. Vite's like
that callback though, when like she's offering the kids the child to the parents or whatever, and she's like, oh, I already did it. That callback to fucking Vite doing that when he was playing the plan.
Oh no, you're not gonna get away with it. What do you mean? I did it 35 minutes ago. Yeah.
That's just so amazing. I love He did a great job with this show.
The thing was he met his match. Well,
yeah.
Sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. If it weren't for Manhattan helping him, they all would have been done. It's because of the teleporting. They gave him the heads up.
Oh, the senator fucking obliterated himself.
Oh my
in that.
God.
Yeah.
That senator. Jesus Christ. I
liked him though. I liked his character.
Yeah. He was totally the caricature of that society. Like, even him bashing all the stuff, bashing the reparations.
Yeah.
Like, why should I apologize for something? Blah,
It
blah.
felt
Like,
so realistic.
it was pretty much that side's arguments all thrown into one person as the
I felt
character.
like you could take him out of the show and put him in like today, and you could hear someone saying that exact
Absolutely,
same thing.
Yeah. And even like when he's
I'm
like,
going to be blue. Like,
yeah. Even when he was just
Oh, when he had the fucking underwear, I was cracking up
Yo,
because that's the exact
same as
thing he was wearing.
I liked how
I think me swinging my dick around would have been overkill.
I mean, compared to Dr. Manhattan's dick, dude, like you can't.
And they still kept showing it. They're just like, all right, I guess we're just seeing blue dick everywhere then. Fuck
I was
it.
like, God, we saw it in the movie. Don't do it in this. But I guess they have to.
Yeah.
It just shows he just doesn't give a shit. He's just like, yeah, so what? What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I did like so at the end I want to talk about the ending now, the whole walking on water thing.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, let's get to it.
So she's a god, dude. Like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts. She is
basically.
You don't know that.
No, she is. There's so many breadcrumbs. Like, the whole show is about.
I'm glad they didn't show it, even though it was predictable that that's where they were going to end it.
Exactly.
Like, we all looked at each other and went, it's going to stop right when she puts her foot on it. And that's where it stopped. I'm like, it's a little too on the nose, but I'm glad they did it. Because if they would have gone farther than that, like, I hope they don't do a season 2. I think it should just be done.
I think it should end. I think, honestly, it should end. Because
where do you go from here, you know?
I agree.
Even the ending of the show where, like, when he's on the water and she's just like, oh, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, it's going to make sense later. It's because
That was so good.
it's you're gonna have to walk. You're gonna
have to do it.
You're gonna have to do this.
Yeah. So there it is, the breadcrumbs. So
Just don't
it's,
watch the eggs.
Yeah, and then the him drinking the egg in the beginning, and I can give you my powers.
Mm-hmm.
Then the grandpa saying that, like, oh, he could have done more. It's kind of like, just at the end of the day, like,
yeah, pretty much the reason why he got with her is because he thought you're perfect for my powers.
yeah,
That's essentially what it all got to. Was like, I think you have what it takes to get my powers. So he walks into, and by the way, the title for that episode,
into a bar.
Oh, yeah.
a god walks into a bar. I was like, fuck, dude, it was so good. When I saw that fucking title, I was like,
Perfect.
It's
the writers got together and went, this is too good not to call it that.
It's I don't know, man. It's so crazy because, like,
That I had read about, though, because originally for that title, the two words were separate, A and then a bar.
And then
Yeah.
they put it together.
So no one could, I guess, guess what was going to happen.
Guess it. Yeah.
But they didn't put it together until that exact episode.
yeah.
I love that they made Vietnam the 51st state. I thought that was fucking cool as
Yeah, that was
shit.
surprising.
Because there were so many Vietnam references, and I'm like, I get it. I know that there was a lot of Vietnam shit in the comic, but I'm just like, how did she get there? And how did she stay there?
And get back.
And then when they said, oh, it's a 51st state, I'm like, that's why she stayed there.
It's part of America.
So yeah, it's
easy.
part of America.
But it's
Very interesting.
Her life that's very, like, tragic. Like, fuck,
life
dude,
was tragic.
her
Yo, that was so crazy.
and the fact that, like, it goes all back to, like, Dr. Manhattan. Like, it's just like, oh, you're Dr. Manhattan. Well, if you do know me, you know that I fucking hate Dr. Manhattan because he's the reason why my parents died. Like, it's such a good.
He created the fanatics that killed
her parents.
my parents. Yeah.
It's funny, like, the way you say that, like, the reason why he got with her is because he knew that she had to have his powers. It kind of lessens their love story in a way, like.
Yeah, but
really, he loved her.
But he did because he still went through the motions of it. I don't think it lessened it. I just think they're both equally on par. Like, you're perfect and I love you.
I feel like there's more to their love story.
Now that you mention it, maybe
It kind of, the way you make it seem, it's like because he sits so much in his head.
well, he fell in love with her at that part. Remember, we're already when it's over. This is the moment I realized it. And of course, he's saying, "Oh, it's all happening at the same time." So
He's always been in love with her.
He's always been in love with her.
Right.
It's such a confusing thing.
he's always been in love with her, but he's always thought she was worthy. I took it as it's both. He's in love with her and she's worthy.
It could be both.
Yeah.
It could be
It is
both.
a lesser one.
Yeah.
I love the scene.
Like people like to get with people that are just as like
Right.
on the level of like I don't know,
Yeah, I
fucking
get you.
intellect
you
and like
date, you date who's
I
on
got
your
with you
level.
because you're an amazing person.
Right.
And I fell in love with you.
where
It's a plus.
compliment.
Mike, keep that sentence in your pocket, right?
Yeah, if you're listening to this, which is probably not. That's you, baby.
Oh,
Say it on your next FaceTime.
So I love the scene where he's like on his knees about to die basically, and she's like, "Oh, where are you?" He's like,
Ah, shit was so good.
I'm with you every moment of you. I'm like, oh my fucking god, dude. Mike, Jesus Christ, dude. Like that was so Jesus.
It was a really good scene. Just that his last moments, I don't want to be alone. Like all that shit was just so good. For someone who's a god to be brought, I don't know, it was just really good.
Literally on his knees.
And I think the reason why he kept the cow's body was because like this is the body of the person that I love. Like you know, like this is like the life I lived was within this body. So this is why I'm gonna keep this body. You know, I just love that. It's such a powerful thing for like even the messaging of like. I am a god and I love this black woman and I'm going to entrust the future basically to her.
Which honestly, she's such a hothead. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
she will fuck shit up, dude.
She's a hothead. So I'm just like, symbolically, this is perfect. But let's be real. But let's be real.
Everybody's got some problems.
She's got some crazy fucking problems.
Right.
Especially, I mean, think about it. Remember in one of the first episodes when she's in like Nixon Town, she's like, oh no, I'm not gonna join in on this.
The second.
And in the second a guy swings at Looking Glass, she's just like, hold up, and just beats his face to a pulp. I was like,
I don't know if she's the best person to have these abilities.
You got some issues there.
I think at the end of the day, like
She'll be blowing up anyone that looks at her sideways.
I think I think in general, like
or you would hope this would make her grow.
maybe
He would be better
But
than him though. He's too passive.
I think the fact that you're everywhere at once fucks your mind up. Like,
That's true.
In terms of like
you see things differently.
you see so much things differently, and you're like, I can't. Like it's like you're too self-aware of everything that I think that's why Dr. Manhattan didn't intervene as much because he was just too self-aware of like
because he was like, I already did, or I already
this has
did
to
it.
happen, or I went too far in the future. Like it has to play out this way. Like he only intervenes when it's like, oh, I have to intervene because I already did intervene.
Yeah.
It's such a paradox, but it's so confusing. So I think him being a god made him passive.
I was gonna say, one thing from the comic that I was a little disappointed they didn't do was they didn't bring Veight's like pet back. Remember he had like that weird fucking pet
cat thing.
Yeah, that cat thing.
Was it in the movie?
Yeah, it was in the movie.
I don't remember.
But the reason why is because in Doomsday Clock, which is the DC comic that's also a sequel to it, so it's a little confusing. It's the comic inside DC. They brought it back, and they did so many references that I'm just kind of like, why didn't the HBO one kind of do a little bit more of those references? So this is like a little like.
It didn't. I am surprised they didn't show it though. That's a good point.
Yeah,
because he was still around.
I mean, the comic's a little more fresh in your head. Nostalgia, was that the name of his cologne or his perfume?
His perfume.
That's why I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. They kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna take nostalgia," and I'm like, people ODing on his perfume. I was so confused.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's the pills. Got it.
Would you guys use that if that was a real thing?
I think that would fuck me up,
I
honestly.
think that would fuck me up too.
Because it could easily, like they said, it could easily get you addicted, where you're gonna constantly keep going back to certain memories
I think
over and over,
most
good
people would
or
be
bad. You get addicted to it. It's like kind of like on Inception. If you watch the movie Inception, they pretty much said that people use it as a drug to keep going to their moments.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
I think that's how it would get used in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, can you choose where to go back to? Because it just seemed like it was random. But it wasn't her pills, though. It wasn't A-Bar's pills.
She said, because
You
True
choose what you put in the pill, though.
True said that he liked to relive his bad memories. So he put his bad memories in there, and that's what she took.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He put the stuff that he wanted to keep, like he wanted to stay angry.
Shit, dude,
so he kept the shit there so he could stay angry.
Right.
Like waiting for his moment.
I think his anger, and I think it's a positive thing where he's like, I think that messaging is kind of like, don't take your foot off the gas. Like, remember what racism.
But it kind of broke his
has-
family.
Yeah,
It
Not
totally-
kind of. It broke his family.
Yeah.
It broke.
Yeah, and I
big
think
time.
that's
Where
the-
the point where they were like,
But I think that's a positive
He
message.
doesn't
though, because
exist.
For a long time, we're told, oh, like racism ended like 60 years ago. Get over it. And we're told like, oh, this doesn't affect you anymore. Oh, we had Obama. Like we're constantly told that.
Right.
Good.
We're good. Like,
You guys
oh,
will find out. You made it.
yeah, you made it. But just the idea of like, no, like, like this happened
Right.
and it's not fixed. And maybe it will never be. And I think the messaging of the show that it's like it will never be fixed.
I think that is the message of the show.
I think it's just like this is going to happen.
yeah. And if it's
Forever.
not that,
Forever.
and if it's not that, it's going to be someone else. There's
Right.
always going to be that.
Yeah.
There
And-
will always be that.
Yeah. So I think
for
that,
someone,
and I think it makes sense for them to say, okay, this is always going to happen in the context of the show, so we're going to have someone fight that, and that's Abar, obviously. But yeah, like I now that I'm thinking about it, like it makes perfect sense for him to like be like so self-absorbed with what happened to him, because it's like, no, I'm not going to forget. I'm going to make sure that like I tackle white supremacy and racism forever, because it has affected me greatly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if nostalgia did exist, we'd be fucked. That'd be terrible.
yeah, no, big time.
Yeah,
I'd probably use it, but
dude.
that should be way too addicting.
You go back
To
to your
relive your memories?
you go back to your glory days.
What?
Oh my god, can you imagine that? You're already older and you go back to the like what your best moments are, and you just get more depressed about how you are now. Nah, dude, that's terrible.
Damn, that
It's
is depressing.
terrible.
That's terrible.
Because after you're out of the high, you're back to reality.
Because there's a way of thinking about it, and then but actually reliving it again,
Yeah.
like
Some of your best days, man. Some of your
But-
best
but the
moments.
the
thing is,
adrenaline rush or whatever.
Imagine, dude, like even your thought process right now, like your best days, they're foggy. But if someone can actually like extract them and then put it into a pill, like these are your best moments, and you're like, holy shit, this feels amazing. Nah.
Or
Fuck that.
it wasn't as good as I remembered. It can go both ways.
That's true. It
can go both
Damn,
ways.
this was my life?
Yeah, because remember
Fuck
we,
this
we,
shit.
we do nostalgia goggles all the time. Oh man, that movie's amazing. Watch it 20 years ago. You watch it now, you're like, oh, this piece of shit.
Yeah.
The hell, you got a good point.
So it can go one way or the other, but either way, it would definitely be abused. One of the things that I'm glad that the show did, which is the flashback to the actual moment of the Manhattan of the alien, and they actually showed the alien. I didn't think they
I
would
didn't
do
think
that.
they were going to show the alien.
I'm like, nah, they're not gonna waste their budget on that. They fucking showed the alien. I was like, all right, that's
I
pretty
actually
cool.
thought it was going to be a continuation of the movie. So I didn't expect them to
Oh.
reference the alien. What did they do in the movie? What was...
Manhattan was the reason that they stopped the war.
They did a blue explosion, and then they said, "Oh, that's Manhattan's energy." So Manhattan did it.
Yeah, Manhattan did it. Like that was it was his idea. Like,
so the whole world unites against Manhattan.
and then he leaves, so they're like, oh, okay,
He'll be back though.
he'll
so
be
let's
back.
keep
So we
this
have
stay
to
together.
like like.
Which honestly, the alien one makes more sense.
No, dude, I feel like Manhattan makes more sense. 'Cause
The
he's a
Alien one
fucking-
doesn't make sense at all.
The alien one
This nigga
makes
made a fucking alien? Come on
Yeah,
now.
but that's the thing. The alien makes more sense because even Lady True said it. It's so ridiculous that no one would ever think someone created it. You're gonna think that's an actual fucking alien, and we need to unite against other aliens.
But the thing is that
and then there's
Or
constantly
we unite against fucking Superman right here.
yeah, but Manhattan exists. We see Manhattan. It makes more sense. That's one thing I like about the movie. It made more sense that Manhattan would do that because he
I
is
gotta
a
rewatch
god.
this movie.
no, but
He's above us.
He's above us. He's
Right.
not. He's not an all-loving God. He's just a god.
yeah, he just is one. He just does things.
It
yeah.
makes sense that he causes the plague, basically, and kills
Not
people.
this random psychic alien.
Oh, you're saying it makes sense for the people to think that? Okay,
Yeah,
I was gonna
like
say clearly we know the character.
It makes sense. No. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, even at the end of the day,
Nah,
like,
man, I'm still with aliens.
But I think even Manhattan, honestly, so you think Manhattan wouldn't kill people?
Because think about it. So in the movie timeline, Manhattan goes and disappears, right? People are like, oh, I guess we'll wait for Manhattan to come back.
Yeah.
10 years pass. Manhattan ain't here. All right, back to war. While in this one, they kept the squid shit going. So
Yeah.
what? Are they gonna keep little blue explosions going around to keep people scared of Manhattan?
But they even explained that that the squid thing was a good idea, but then after a while, it doesn't.
It's a rerun.
It's a rerun. So
Well,
the effect-
she only said that because of his style, but it still got people scared and it still kept people. There were no wars going on, so it still worked.
right.
It'll wear off eventually, unless another squid comes back.
I don't know, man. It had been fucking how many years was
But
it?
that was the point of the show. That the point of the show that underneath the squid attacks, what was forming instead of like a nuclear war was a racism war.
You're right.
So like it didn't.
Which,
bring-
funny enough, was from the Rorschach Journal, which was supposed to...
Right. So like...
Which actually it kind of did. So the Rorschach Journal being published was supposed to break the peace.
Yeah, they did.
And it did in a totally different way people expected, but it did.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
So there you have it. If Rorschach's Journal hadn't been published, it probably would have been something else.
Nah,
it probably would have been something else.
Rorschach was willing to take one for the team.
Do it! I was like,
God,
shit. Such a great fucking scene,
that's
dude.
a good scene.
Rorschach.
I feel like Dr. Manhattan in the movie would have he would have done that. Like he would. I mean, he did do that in the movie, but I feel like his character in general would do that. Cause a second blast. Because if the thing is, if my mindset is that like if he sees it, he has to go through it. So if no matter what it is, because it has to be done.
Right.
This is the way, basically.
Wrong show.
This is the way.
Wrong show.
Wrong show.
We're on Disney Plus.
Yeah, we'll get to that show
Stay
eventually.
tuned.
We'll get to that show.
All right, guys.
I have spoken.
So I think this wraps up our episode.
That's about it.
Mike, you have anything to add?
We
Pedro?
pretty much talked about everything.
Pretty much got it all.
Characters were great. I wish they had showed Night Owl, even though
Yes.
he's locked up.
So that's one
Oh,
thing.
I didn't get that part.
Okay, so that's the other thing that's in the letters in between the episodes that I was telling you about. So I read it, and pretty much he is just creating the technology and giving it to the cops. And that's his way of staying free, but still kind of like under security. And then for her, she has to hunt down other costume people and work for the FBI. So it's pretty much like work for us or help us, and you're fine. If not, you're gonna get arrested.
Stuck for life.
It's because after they left, because when Watchmen the comic is over, they just kind of get married and they live happily ever after. But apparently they got bored of that shit. They fucking broke up and they went back to vigilantism. They started. They pretty much got addicted to the rush of kicking ass, and they both got caught. And then they're like, "All right, fuckers, do help us or that."
Okay.
So that's why she has the owl, I guess, to remember him. And then they even threaten her and say something like, "Oh, you'll be just like the owl." And they were referencing Night Owl, that he's also, that he wasn't playing ball either.
Yeah.
And that's why she's like, all right, I'll go down there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was that episode. So I was like, "Oh, something's here," but they never explained it. And then I looked at the articles, and there it was. I'm like, "Oh, there it
the
is."
The show could have easily added like 2 more episodes, 2 or 3 more episodes.
It could have, but I'm okay with the articles explaining it because it's just so true to how the comic was. It had articles,
more episode.
which you skipped the articles in the
Yeah, I
comic,
skipped all
but the articles do shine a light on each of the characters.
Yeah.
Them shits was long as they were like real articles.
They were real articles.
They're like real articles.
Man, I just read a comic. I'm not trying to read an article after this shit. I'm trying to get to the next comic.
No, Mike said, "Where are the pictures?"
This is a real article. This has words.
This is a newspaper.
They had a lot of time on their fucking hands back then.
Yeah.
What? You crazy?
But
There was no way.
that about wraps up what I gotta say.
Overall, one of the best shows on TV this year.
Yeah.
In a while, actually.
But I will say
shows on TV this year?
this needs to be a limited series. End it right here.
Yep.
It's perfect the
I'm
way it
usually
is.
against that because if it's a really good show, I want to see more. But I feel like it would only go downhill from there.
I agree.
Like, it was
agree.
too.
Because
it wasn't perfect, but it was just too good.
Because the next one's gonna be what? Her struggling to be a god, and you see her flaws, and we're like, well, we know this already, and we don't want to see this shit.
Right. And I think
I don't wanna
think
see
it lessens the meaning of like
I agree.
It takes away her power.
I agree.
To have her have that dilemma of being a god. I feel like that lessens the fact that like
Yeah, because then you just humanize her. That's
Yeah.
it. It ended with her being a god. Don't humanize her. It's it. It's done.
Yeah.
I
That's perfect.
do think because he did a interview where like he was like basically saying like he views it as like, well, yes, this is the ending of the show, but that doesn't mean he can't do something with like that universe.
Like focus on Night Owl and another side of the
Maybe.
characters.
I mean, that would be fine. I feel like I'm not sure. Like HBO it's not the company to milk things. The only thing I feel like they're trying to milk is Game of Thrones.
Right. But that backfired on them.
That
because
backfired.
They had 3. One didn't get off the ground, and the other one died at pilot.
Yeah.
So only one made it.
So I don't know if they see Watchmen with all the acclaim it's getting as like, oh shit, no, we need to continue this.
I felt like they might.
I feel like they could do it, but I feel like he won't touch that.
I was gonna say I think the writer is ballsy enough because he's been with. I mean, he did Leftovers, so he's no matter what he's in with HBO. He can tell them no, I don't want to do that, and then I'll do something else because you could just say the creator of Watchmen and Leftovers, and bam, and you'll get views.
Yeah.
So I think he's ballsy enough to say, nah, I'm not gonna do a season 2.
Unless he has an idea.
Unless he has an idea.
And I feel if he does have an idea, I feel like he's going to stay away from
Angela's part. Or maybe have it before it.
Maybe.
The build up to it.
Maybe
Oof, that's tricky,
maybe
man.
more Minutemen stuff.
That's tricky territory.
Or maybe
What
go
else could he integrate into it? He did such a perfect job integrating the comic into the show.
Yeah.
Or just focus on a totally different city in like, I don't know, in another era.
Maybe.
90s, some shit. I don't know. That's still tricky though.
It's too much at that point.
Because I mean, you already used the main characters.
You already used the main characters, their backstories.
Out of the 4 survivors, you used 3 of them. The only one you didn't use was Night Owl. That's the only survivor from the original that didn't get screen time.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a whole show with Night Owl and friends?
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, it could, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
Never
say never, but I prefer no.
Okay. All right, we're just end it here. I'm gonna ask you a question after this because it doesn't really matter about the show. All right, guys. What?
Shit. Okay.
I was gonna ask Pedro. Pedro, do you think this is better than Leftovers?
Oof. No.
What? Leftovers couldn't have been that good.
It was really good, dude.
It was really good.
It was fucking really good.
Actually, I was never gonna watch Leftovers, but this made me want to watch Leftovers.
I'm telling you, the way you love these characters, you're gonna love the Leftovers characters.
Yeah.
Everyone
There's no A-bar in there.
I feel like
There's no Cal in there.
There is an A-bar. I would say Nora's A-bar.
Wait, dude, Regina King's in Leftovers.
She is?
She is in it.
Just letting you know, she's in
shit.
Leftovers.
I'm sold now.
Yeah,
Officially sold.
That's why he used her again, because she's in it.
Yeah, this dude is just like
She's in season 2.
yeah, he's
and 3.
He's one of us, man. He's down for the cause.
All right, I fuck with him.
But I meant character-wise, she's Nora.
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I think Leftovers is a better show. I mean, it's 4 seasons. There's more to dive deep in.
They're so different, but
they're way different. And I feel like Leftovers
is a better show just because the characters were fucking like completely flawed and 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
But it was 3 seasons for us to get to know them. So I don't think it's fair.
And I feel like Leftovers is more. It's not. It's more. It's not so straightforward. It's such a mindfuck of a show that you want to see it through the end. This is, when you see what you get with this show for the most part. All the way through.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, guys, that's about our show. Hope you liked it. If you like us, please follow us on social media, leave us a comment, review, subscribe, all that good jazz. And we'll catch you guys on another episode of Popcorn Heroes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, outro.
Later.